If you've been around on the channel for a little bit, you know that video game soundtracks are some of my favorite things to talk about. I have a background as a musician. I've just always loved music. Music is truly one of those things that is just an integral part of my life, and the combination of music and video games even more so. A great video game soundtrack is honestly something that I think can take a game to the next level. There are just some that a story could be a little lackluster, it could be not great but have a fantastic soundtrack and kind of redeem it a little bit, or you have a fantastic story, fantastic gameplay, and an even better soundtrack that just makes the entire video game experience something truly special. But there are some of those video game OSTs that I still, after so much time of playing these games, I cannot get out of my head. Quite literally, I will listen to these OSTs until 4 in the morning when I'm in a deep depressive spiral, and it's what I do, and I can't stop. I listen to some of these tracks on repeat because that's all I can do with my time and self. And 5 of those soundtracks, specifically from RPGs, are what we are talking about today. Hi everybody, my name is Alex, aka Quality, and welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought about doing like my favorite gaming OSTs list finally, but I think I need more time on that, so yeah, you're getting my current fixations. So you're welcome. Initially, I also didn't intend for all of these to be RPGs, but that's what happens when you mainly play RPGs, is you're kind of gonna get RPG focused lists. So what have you. Starting off with a big one and one of my favorite games last year, actually my favorite game last year, Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I said it back then when I was giving my final thoughts on the game, but the soundtrack of Baldur's Gate 3 honestly is incredible. You're gonna hear me say that a lot in this video because all of them are incredible, but when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3, which was my first Baldur's Gate game, I felt like the soundtrack fit the setting so well. When I was playing D&D in college with a bunch of my friends, this is the type of music that I envisioned going on in the background as we were playing. It really just tied the whole experience together for me, honestly. The opening choral notes of the main theme of Baldur's Gate 3 is quite literally stamped into my brain forever. I hear that and I just immediately am taken back to when I first opened up the game, and it is incredible. The range of music in this game is honestly fantastic. It all kind of keeps within that same fantasy, classical, kind of bard-like style throughout all of it, but you have these wonderfully just beautiful choral pieces, you have these fantastic orchestral pieces, and you have a lot of rock-inspired battle pieces as well. You also genuinely do just have bard-like versions of songs. Old Time Battles is a song that pops up a lot throughout Baldur's Gate 3, but there's a specific bard version of it that I'm very partial to. I'm a big fan. That's actually kind of a big thing in this game as well. You have a lot of themes that are composed in several different styles. One of those is The Power, which is also one of my favorite songs on the entire soundtrack, specifically the choral version, which just has this beautiful chorus singing in the background. It starts with this phenomenal female soloist, and it just kind of builds and builds and builds until you get this beautifully texturized chorus, and it is, oh, it's so nice. And some of those chords in it, I don't get into super big musical analysis in these videos, maybe someday I will, but in this song specifically, it does a really great job at having moments of optimism and hope contrasted against these very like almost unsettling chords, and it creates this really awesome feel that you especially feel in the choral version. I don't remember who said this, somebody out there said this, that the human singing voice evokes such emotion in people because it's so familiar, and I think that's why the choral version of The Power is so like, oh, it like tingles my soul a little bit. The orchestral version is also fantastic. It's got some really good low flute work, which I'm a big fan of. But so you have a lot of themes that reappear in different types of orchestrations, which is just, it's so cool. It's so cool. Some people may think that's redundant to have the same theme showing up in different spots, but I think it's smart because it's giving you this sense of familiarity with the world that you're in and hearing these different songs in different spots. I don't know. I really love when games do that. We'll talk about another game that does that later on as well, but that's one thing I think Baldur's Gate 3 does so well. You also have these beautiful pieces of music that play a lot during cutscenes. Wash My Pain Away is another one where it's honestly, it's so soothing, it's so nice, I love it. And I remember hearing it in the cutscenes that I would get with various characters in my party. I think specifically Gale is maybe where I've heard it before for sure, but it's just so nice. And again, the fact that you can have these jaunty bard-like tunes to something so serene and nice is fantastic. But if I did have to pick an absolute favorite from the soundtrack, I think most people would know what it is. Raphael's final act. Now, there's a lot of really good battle themes in Baldur's Gate 3, but the fact that this stands out to me because the actor who plays Raphael, who, if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, Raphael is a big character. He's a demon. You get to know a lot about him throughout the course of the story, so I won't spoil much. But his boss theme has vocals by the voice actor of Raphael, which is incredible. You don't usually get that in games a lot of the time, I don't think. And I love that a lot. Not only that, it's just this extremely epic battle theme that's unique to this character because this character is so weird and unique. This song is epic. It's got its like kind of building moments where you have a lot of low strings kind of building the anticipation, and then it just goes crazy, and I adore it. Raphael's final act honestly is also one of those songs that when I'm like in a brooding mood, like I'm plotting, that's what goes on in the background. It's a fantastic piece of music. The Baldur's Gate 3 soundtrack still stands its ground even a few years later, and it's gonna be one I'm gonna keep revisiting every so often, especially because I like to put that and the cities and towns part of the soundtrack on while I'm reading, which is really nice, honestly. I highly recommend it. One of my classic favorites, Super Mario RPG. It's one of my favorite games and one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, but specifically today I'm talking about the Switch version of the soundtrack. Now, the reorchestration that was done for the remake, honestly, I do not think gets enough credit because it is gorgeous. Not only does it still maintain the same energy and excitement that the original on the SNES does, but it does modernize it. You can hear a lot of other parts in it a lot clearer with the different orchestrations. It's beautiful. I really think it's absolutely fantastic. This soundtrack also just does such a good job at mixing Mario and Square Enix type ideas. Again, Yoko Shimomura knew what she was doing, and I love her a lot, actually. Starting off with a banger of songs I want to talk about, Fight Against an Armed Boss has swept the internet over the years for the famous CBT meme. I'm not going to describe what that anagram is, just type in Super Mario RPG, CBT, and you'll understand. But this is one of my favorite boss themes in the entire game. It's just so fun, it's so interesting, and it's so unique too. It starts with this giant percussive section, and in the remake it just has this awesome conglomeration of saxophone ensemble with strings, and it's so good. It is so good. No other song in this game gets me as hyped as this one, to be honest. And there are some really great songs on this soundtrack, but this is just one of those boss battle themes that I keep coming back to all the time. But not only does Super Mario RPG have great boss battle themes, it also just has really great random stuff. There's a song called Slope that plays during one of the mini games in the game where you are racing Booster down a hill, and the jolliest, jauntiest little song you've ever heard plays. It starts with this incredible snare roll that's just like, it almost sounds like a children's march kind of situation. It starts with this snare feature, and then gets into the craziest little thing you've ever heard. I love it. It's so fun. And just totally weird. It's just totally weird. Location themes are also fantastic. Of course, another super famous one that swept the internet by storm many years ago with animation and covers and all sorts of things, The Forest Maze. Probably the most famous song from this game, I would say, but there's a good reason for that. It hits so well. It makes you feel like you're in this mysterious forest, you're finding your way around, and again, just fantastic. The orchestration of this one is so good. When I was in maybe like 7th or 8th grade, I tried to do a woodwind arrangement of this song. It didn't go very well. I'm not a very good arranger or composer, but basically what I had in mind was something like that was in the Switch version. So another super happy location theme that I just feel doesn't get enough love is Welcome to Yoshi Island. Like, there's a lot of great ones, don't get me wrong, like the Tadpole Pond themes are fantastic, but Yoshi's Island, you're only there for a little bit, and I just think this song not only, again, captures Mario, captures RPG, Square Enix feelings, but this one just really captures Yoshi. It's super happy, it's super fun, it's got kind of a little beachy theme to it as well. It's just a great time, and I don't think that track gets nearly enough love. But I think one of the biggest feats in Super Mario RPG is the fact that Yoko Shimomura was able to take a classic Square Enix theme, the boss theme, I believe 2 from Final Fantasy IV, and just arrange it to not only, again, fit these parameters of Mario and RPG, but still feel so just new and revitalized, and I loved it. Fight Against Culex is a song that, you know, if you've really scoured the entire game, you've heard, but if you're new to Super Mario RPG with the Switch version, maybe you didn't come across this secret boss battle, but the music is fantastic. Again, it's the boss battle theme from Final Fantasy IV, which is one of my favorite Final Fantasies, so this one's especially special, but you can hear Yoko Shimomura's influence in it. It's so interesting how you have these different, very famous, very recognizable pieces, and you can tell the different composer's style. Another really good example of this, sticking with Mario, is the fact when Grant Kirkhope did Mario and Rabbids, he got to do a little bit of the Mario theme too, and you can just tell Grant is all over it. He's all over it because his style is so distinct. It's just a really interesting thing when you cross composers in the video game world. I don't know. If you have any other examples, put them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Moving on to another classic one that I love and adore, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've gone on record in saying that I think this is my favorite Xenoblade soundtrack, but the more and more I go, the more I'm just really sure in that fact is, and as good as 1 and 3 and X are, something about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 really was life-changing in that OST. It really, really was. A classic Xenoblade thing with the soundtrack is having day and night themes, and one that is just so good no matter what way you look at it. Probably, again, one of the more popular ones in the game for good reason, More Ardain, is just so... You have this incredible driving theme during the day and a much more reserved, soloistic theme during the night. And it just shows the contrast of not only the areas, but the vibes between day and night, how you're kind of going about your adventure. And it's fantastic, all while still capturing that greater idea of More Ardain. Oh, I will never stop talking about that song. It's fantastic. And again, there's a little flute bias for the night theme because the entire night theme is just a giant flute solo that... I love it. I love it so much. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 also does a phenomenal job with those heart-aching, emotional themes. A Faint Hope, which I've talked about on the channel. I've talked about really anytime anybody's given me an opportunity to talk about this song. Honestly, that is one of the life-changing songs. You hear it at very important and tasteful moments in the story that really do just make those big impact moments even better. Even better. Which, once again, I will never, ever spoil when those are and what they happen. If you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, do it. I have a whole video talking about my thoughts on it because it was a game that I didn't think I was gonna love, despite loving Xenoblade, and yet oh man, it was fantastic. But I will listen to this song very late at night and sob. It's another thing that I think when people talk about video game music, they really underestimate the emotional impact it has, even away from the game, just listening to it a second time. Those emotions that you had experiencing that song in the game will always stay with you, and Faint Hope is one of those songs for sure. Another really emotional and like bone-chilling one in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is The Ancient Vessel, which you actually hear so early on in the game. I kind of forgot. I was like, oh, this song's way later. No, it's right at the ship, right at the very beginning. Again, it starts out with this beautiful orchestral introduction before kind of getting into a more standard first creepy area theme, but that doesn't make it any less fantastic. It's a perfect musical introduction to the mysteries that you're going to uncover in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and yeah, it's so good. I know I say that a lot after all of these songs, but I really just mean it. This entire video is entirely self-serving, by the way. I just really wanted to geek out about some music, so sorry. Some of the more relaxing themes come from some of the village themes. The one that I decided to put on this list is another one that honestly just makes me want to sob. It's so nostalgic in feel, and that's Fonset Village, also titled Gramps. Rex is from Fonset Village, so it does have this very just innate sense of familiarity, even if you've never heard the song. You don't live in Fonset Village, but it really does tug at the heartstrings as something nostalgic and loving and warm, and it's just, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. But Xenoblade isn't all just about the relaxing emotional impacts. Well, this one's emotional in its own way. You Will Recall Our Names is the sequel to You Will Remember Our Names from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and this sequel is a banger. It shows the metal side of Xenoblade 100% by just being this kick-ass battle theme that you really can't find anywhere else. I also just love that it's a recurring idea throughout Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. The titles are all similar to one another. They're kind of telling a story in their own way, and they're telling a musical story as well, as they continue to grow and expand and add things to one another. I highly recommend, if you haven't done this, listen to the mixes of all 3 of the songs, and oh my gosh, it's a really awesome experience if you're a Xenoblade fan and you really love the music in these games. It's really, really cool. Totally shifting gears to a game with a much more modern and poppy soundtrack, and I'm a little biased because I did play this game this year, but I can't stop listening to the soundtrack, and that is Persona 4 Golden. For the sake of this, I'm talking about both normal Persona 4 and Golden, because I want to start out by talking about the 2 opening themes between the 2 games. Shadow World, which you get in Persona 4 Golden, and Pursuing My True Self, which you get in Persona 4. Both of these songs do a really great job at setting up what you're about to experience in Persona 4. Starting with Shadow World, since it's the first on my list, I love how it starts with a freaking harmonica solo, because I really do think it does a good job at setting you in Inaba, this kind of podunk town, not anywhere near the big city, and I love it. I just love it. The lyrics in Shadow World are kind of a little tongue-in-cheek. They are very much so just being like, we're going to the Shadow World, we're solving a mystery, which it basically explains the plot of Persona 4 Golden, but I just think it's so fun, and honestly, it's just so catchy to listen to over and over and over again. I don't get tired of it. I thought I would, but I really don't. It's such a fun little song. On the other side, Pursuing My True Self is a lot more indicative of what Persona 4, the actual message of Persona 4, is, which is pursuing your true self and acknowledging and accepting your true self, the goods and the bads. This song has a much more subdued kind of flavor to it. It kind of is more reminiscent of Persona 3, if I'm being totally honest. It's got more like a, not necessarily like hip-hoppy jam, but like, it's a lot cooler in nature, a lot less peppy, but I love having the 2 contrasting songs as the opener for the game, because I think both of them add a lot to the rest of the game and the soundtrack. You get a lot of kind of everyday songs in Persona 4, but my favorite, I've gone on record saying it before, is Signs of Love. I could listen to that song on repeat for hours, and I have. I definitely have, honestly. It's the song that plays when you come home at the end of the day, and I just think it's such a great song to have at your home. It's a very warm and inviting kind of song while still keeping that level of cool and chillness. I think that's the thing that I just love about Persona 4. The soundtrack is cool. People love to talk about Persona 3 and Persona 5 soundtracks. I feel like Persona 4, the music doesn't get talked about nearly as much in my limited, very new Persona experience, to be honest, but I'm such a big fan because the music is just cool. I will put it on in my car while I'm going out to go do something, and I feel so awesome. Like I'm on my way to do my social links for the day by going and talking to my friends and going to work and spending my time. That's how I feel when I listen to Persona music all the time, especially Persona 4. Another song that just makes me feel super cool when I'm going out and doing things is Specialist. Another one of those kind of everyday boppy songs. This is one that I like to have on at work, and maybe it's just because this is one that pops up at school so often as well, but yeah, I don't know. This one, it's a very motivating track, and again, just makes me feel very cool. But we've also got some pretty awesome dungeon themes in Persona 4 as well. My personal favorite is the secret base, which is Naoto's dungeon, and I love it. I love it so much. It's got this air of mystery to it that Naoto as a character also has, and it's also kind of got this like fun, like again, almost nostalgic feeling, which, not spoiling anything about Naoto's character, but I feel like that fits a lot very, very well. So, I don't know, I just really love the music in Persona 4, and I feel like people don't talk about it nearly as much. I think it's so great. Finally, the game that is actually the whole reason I wanted to make this video, is because I really just wanted to talk about this soundtrack, but figured maybe people wouldn't want me to do a whole video about the soundtrack.
Let me know if that's not true and you actually really want me to do that, because I will.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has moved its way to probably one of my favorite gaming OSTs of all time. It is incredible. I still listen to it every single day since beating that game, and I don't get tired of it. I will put it on at work. I will put it on when I go to sleep. I will put it on at any given time. If you hand me the aux cord, Clair Obscur Expedition 33's soundtrack is going on. That is just what's happening. Now, I mentioned range when talking about Baldur's Gate 3, and if that game has range, this game, I can't even think of a better analogy, but this game does it even better than that. It's insane. You have so many differing themes that leave an incredible emotional impact on you throughout this game. The very first track you hear in this game is titled Elysia, which I'm not going to explain what that means to you right now, or in this video. Go play the game yourself. But just from that first minute of hearing that song, I knew this OST was going to be too good. Too good. Kind of also similar to Baldur's Gate 3, you have a lot of themes that will reappear throughout the game as well. Elysia is one of them. You hear it in different just orchestrated versions, you hear it with different lyrics, but the same melody. It makes its way around, and I think that's something that the composer of this game does so well. They're not always obvious. They're not always as obvious as they were in Baldur's Gate 3. They sneak in there somehow where you don't hear it until much later. If you're doing things in the game, you won't know right away. You have to really be listening, and honestly, it's genius what's going on here. Another example of this is the Lumiere theme, which again, you hear right when you hit start on the game. It's one of the other first songs that you hear in this game. The fact that you start up this game and you already have 2 bangers, that's pretty incredible. Like, there's no lull, there's no stop. The main version of Lumiere that everybody I think has heard is the vocal track, which is gorgeous and fantastic. And here's the other thing about this game. Because most of the lyrics in the songs in this game are in French, if you're not a French speaker, like myself, I can't speak French to save my life, the first time you hear the song, you'll be more encapsulated by the melody and what's going on. But when you look up the lyrics later, it sure is revealing about a lot of stuff. So I highly recommend, if you haven't played this game yet, don't look up the lyrics to any of the songs, especially the very last song I'm going to talk, because it hits way different after you find out what goes on in this story. The theme of Lumiere moves itself around throughout the entire game, even after you leave Lumiere. Once again, appearing in different styles. While the main theme is a lot more big and cinematic, you also have another iteration of the song that follows a lot of the same main ideas, but is in a more like chill acoustic guitar kind of way instead, that you hear in various areas as you're walking through Lumiere and stuff like that. It's really incredible how they managed to transform this theme into so many different things. The other thing especially about the 2 songs I've talked about so far, there's just this feeling of melancholy and yearning and sadness behind them. Like, they have their moments of kind of happy, hopeful, major sounding sections, but at its core, it's heart-wrenching what's going on here. Even before you really know what's going on in the plot, you know these songs have a very big emotional impact, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But you do also have a lot of tracks that are just soothing and initially kind of happy sounding. One specifically is Cyrene, which is based on a boss area that is... I almost fell asleep to this song in this area when playing the game. Like, it was on my computer, I was playing the game, controller in hand, and I heard this song, and it just put me at such ease, which, for the area, it makes a lot of sense, but it's just beautiful. Again, we've got more beautiful, soft vocals. There's a classical guitar line going on in the background. It's gorgeous. It's such a pretty piece. Honestly, I think underrated of the soundtrack. And don't get me wrong, this soundtrack is huge. It's 3 discs. It's a 3-disc soundtrack, and it is, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. There's also jazz. Yeah, you wouldn't really see that coming, but Minoko, one of your playable characters, his main theme is extremely jazzy. I believe it kind of goes into the fusion jazz category, but you've got this incredible sax kind of, I'm assuming it's a quartet, I guess, remembering off the top of my head, I don't know for sure, but beautiful saxophone lines, and it's just so jammy. There's a cool synth part. This song is just cool. This is one of those songs that is a complete contrast against the majority of the soundtrack, but I think sometimes when we have a serious soundtrack and a serious game, we need those songs that are a little bit more joyful, a little bit more fun, and it just, again, it makes this soundtrack even more interesting to me, that keeps me revisiting it. But the song that I have listened to, I'm pretty sure more than any other song on this entire list between any of the games I talked about, and I have to look up the pronunciation to make sure I say it correctly. If I butcher it, I'm sorry, but it's Une vie à t'aimer. I can't speak French, guys, I'm sorry. But what it translates to is a life to love you. And that's all I'm gonna say about any of the translations about that song. However, this song is 11 minutes of complete and utter glory. You have contrasting genres, different key changes, incredible instrumentation, and moments that just really sit with you. Especially after playing the game, you start to notice a lot of the very distinct musical cues. There's a very heavy use of piano in this song, which, if you've played the game, you can probably assume why. The piano lines connect the different sections of the song that overall is just this incredible, painstakingly beautiful and ferocious kind of song. There's a lot of emotion, both sadness and melancholy, and towards the end a little bit of hope and anger, and just there's so much going on here that it really is one of the most incredible pieces I've ever heard in a video game, ever, and probably ever will. There is so much going on here. The vocal lines are gorgeous. It's a duet, and it's wow. Wow, 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 wow. You go between these classical moments. You have moments that sound more like folk music. You have these metal moments that are intense, and these just very soft, sad piano moments, all coming to a beautiful resting close. It's a battle theme, it's a big boss battle theme that also reappears in several different iterations throughout the game, but its main and initial appearance is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It is truly one of those songs that I think has changed how I listen to video game music forever. Forever. Again, even if you haven't played the game, listen to the song and maybe the song will inspire you to play the game, because it's so good. But don't look up the lyrics. Don't look them up. Don't look them up until you've played the game and understand what's going on, and then you can look them up and cry. And that's probably what's gonna happen. You're gonna cry. That is basically all I wanted to talk about. As I mentioned, this is a very self-serving video. I was kind of in a bit of a creative slump. I wasn't really sure what to talk about, but then I just kept listening to the Claire Obscure soundtrack, and I was like, it's a video game soundtrack kind of talking day. That's what we're gonna do, and I'm really glad I did. And I would love to hear you talk about some RPG soundtracks that you can't get out of your brain. Even if you've tried, no matter how hard you've tried, you cannot get this soundtrack out of your head. I'd love to hear about it. And if you like talking video game music or just video games in general, maybe consider hanging out and subscribing and liking the video if you like this video in particular. I don't know. But seriously, these video game music videos are some of my favorite to do, even if they're not some of my more popular, so I really appreciate you checking it out, and maybe, hopefully, probably, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Boop.